Hey folks, John from Complete Technology Solutions, your friend in the computer business. So here we are, the weekend before Christmas. Now I tell you, I'm excited. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I have a couple of retro items on my list. Let's hope that Santa actually heard those, but we'll see how that turns out. But today, we're going to test a new case, and what the heck, let's build another trash to treasure out of the pile of goodies over here. Here we go. Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I always get a little excited around the end of the year because you just never know what's going to come in, some little doodad or gadget to play with. As you guys can see, the toys have been expanding. And by the way, you'll notice that the Vicberry is actually back on my table over here. We're about to do an upgrade on that one too on a very, very soon episode. I have an idea to boost it even more than what it was, so we're going to play with it. So, all right, well, the reason we're here today is we're going to test out the Thermaltake Versa H22 mid-tower case. Now, it's Thermaltake, guys. We know that at least the quality ought to be decent on this thing. At least that's what we'd hope, right? But this is what we're going to do. We're going to test it and build in this. So I was going through our junk pile to kind of get an idea of what we're going to put in this thing. And I ran across this Asus H110 Plus board. Now, I know that that is an Intel processor. I do not remember what it was. This was a trade-in from about a year ago. But it does have DDR4 on it. I think it's an i5. I'm not 100% sure, but we're going to find out together. Other than that, it's a pretty decent system. I think we ought to be able to do something nice with this. I have one 8 gig stick of RAM. I might have a little bit more DDR4, but you know what? Just to get us running, this will be perfect. Once again, my goal here is to test the case, but if we can build a nice low-end gaming machine, what the heck, right? So to that end, we're going to use, I have a used, believe it or not, 240 gig solid state drive by PNY. Pretty basic. Primary drive should always be M.2 or it's solid. And if this had, and I'll show Stumpy, an M.2 slot, I would have gone with an M.2 drive on this, but it doesn't. So that's the problem. I have got about a crate full of these 1 terabyte drives floating around. So we're going to use a 1 terabyte as the storage, nothing big. We're going to use a GTX 970 video card. Now this is probably, I'd say, the most expensive part we're going to put in it, but it ought to be a decent video card for some VR. I'm thinking maybe we can make a low-end VR machine here. And then of course the one last thing we're going to need is the power supply. Now I wanted to do something a little different on this because since we're using a new Thermaltake case, I thought what a great opportunity to go ahead and test out another power supply. So GameMax sent me out their, let's see, CP Series ATX power supply. It is a bronze. I believe it's a 650. Yeah, 650 watt. This ought to be decent. Now, you know, I know this isn't modular, and I really wish it was because obviously that cleans up cabling. But I've had pretty good luck with GameMax power supplies in the past. So hopefully, yeah, hopefully it won't be a problem. But yeah, as you can see, it's definitely not modular, but it does come with a pretty cool little card. Yeah, you go. So hey, kudos and points for that at least. Other than that, you've got basic tools. For anybody that's wondering, any new power supply, you get this loop back on it. And what this actually is if you plug this directly into the ATX connector on this and then power the power supply, it automatically turns on. So you can power all your devices without having to have a power switch. That's kind of a neat little thing to have, especially for diagnostics. It comes in very handy on Bitcoin mines, stuff like that. So you can actually send out power without having it connected to a motherboard, which is pretty neat. That's what that is. So other than that, let's see. Looks like, yeah, once again, it's not modular. It's big. Let's see. Oh, I love this, guys. Look at this. Please use only the original cables in the package. Original. Now we're getting all technical here. All right. And I'm assuming they mean this, but oh, come on, dude. Who doesn't have a whole crate full of those in the house? All right, well, there it is. It's nice looking, no doubt about that. Once again, I wish it was modular, but I'm hoping Thermaltake will help us out with that. These cases are really good for that. All right, so get the rest of this out of here. A couple of zip ties. And that looks like about it. Now, I'm going to hold on to all these things just because who knows where you're going to need them in the future. Obviously, zip ties we'll be using. But there we go. So this is what you're looking at right here is the base of our build. That's where we're going to start. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to clear off our workbench, and then we're going to crack open this case and take a look at it. Here we go. Man, don't you guys just love cracking into a new case? I mean, think about it. You know, it's weird. From an artist's perspective, you think about it, when you build computers, that's your art form. You're taking something and making all these parts that do nothing individually into something productive, useful, and fun. Can't tell you any better way to make a living, let me tell you. All right, cracking this bad boy open. By the way, everybody down there noticed that we hit the 550 sub mark? We're climbing. That's awesome. Love you guys. Let's keep them coming, because everything we do that makes that sub mark goes up kind of makes my motivation get higher, and I start doing crazier things. And let me tell you, I got some crazy stuff coming. So, all right, taking this out of here. I will tell you, it feels kind of light, but then again, all of the Thermaltake cases, unless they've got the glass sides, are typically pretty light. So, all right, put that there. Let's see what we got going here. And it looks like pretty standard build for a Thermaltake. Once again, it is very light, but that's pretty much par for the course. All right, take a look at our front design here. Now it looks like one thing it does have, and I'm going to try to get Stumpy at a higher position so you guys can get a down view of this. It's actually a pretty nice case. One thing I like about this, you can see up here, is you've got a dual fan for venting up here. This is great if you're going to do any kind of liquid cooling. In this particular case, we're not actually going to, but it's nice to have that there. Either way, you can still pull air out of the case from the top. So you're pulling it in from the front and out from the top, out from the back. Pretty cool. It does have the metal side, so no glass. And looking at the front over here, it looks like we've got our USB 3.0, USB 2, and we've got our power switch, a reset, and an LED. And that's pretty much it. I do like the inserts. You know, so many cases these days, guys, you see, don't have these 5 1/4 inch inserts anymore, because who uses a DVD anymore, right? I mean, nobody does. But, all right, so let's crack this open, and let's see what the inside looks like. All right, so working from the inside, guys. Now, there's a couple things I like and a couple things that are kind of annoying. The annoying parts, let me get to that first. If you look through here, this is literally the back panel. In fact, if I pull that off, you're going to be able to see all the way through this case. And what's annoying is that even though you've got slight bulges in these cases, that's a lot of your cabling area for cable concealment. And as you can see by looking at that, you can see clear through this thing. Look at that. All the way through to the back, which also holds to why it's so light. But now I will say that I do kind of dig the fact that they've got separate the 3.5 inch drive bays and the 2.5 inch drive bays in their own little compartments. That's kind of cool, although I have grown very fond of the little drive bays that you click on and snap into place. They're very cool. Plus, if you put them in the back, you can hide them, which is nice too. So, you know, any less cabling to do to make it look pretty is good. So, all right, let's go ahead and let's get this motherboard mounted in here and see what it's going to look like, because I think that's a good starting point. And of course, in the case, you've got all the normal stuff in here. So the standoffs, the screws, and a couple of the concealers for the side here. But that's pretty much it. All right, let me get this board mounted and I'll be right back with you. As you can see, we now have the motherboard mounted in here. Now, you know, I know it's real easy to dog cases for all the stuff that they don't do. And like I said, there's a couple things I'm not real fond of with this one, but we're going to get to that. But you know what? Every now and then we got to point out sometimes when they do the right thing too. A lot of cases these days when they come, they have no fan to pull the air out of the back. They'll have venting coming in from the front and they'll put fans up here, but they don't put anything pulling out the back, so you have to add that in. But Thermaltake, in their wisdom, actually did put that on here, so kudos to them for that. I got to give them that one. All right, so we've actually got this all mounted up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount this power supply, and this is sketchy, guys. I don't like what they did here, but I'm going to show you. So let me get this mounted. We'll be right back. All right, so as you can see, we've got the power supply mounted. Anybody else looking at this thinking, what in the hell were the designers thinking? I mean, I know that I am. Number one, your power supply is literally nearly butted up to the motherboard. Now, there is a small bracket right here that you can barely see, and that bracket does, in fact, sit between the board and the power supply itself. But still, your power supply is completely exposed to the interior of this, which means that it could be a heat problem. Even though you're pulling it in from the bottom and pulling it out the back, you're still sending radiant heat up through the system. Not a big fan of this so far. So we're going to let it slide for now. We're going to continue the build, and then we'll cross our fingers this doesn't sneak up and bite us. So, all right, well, let me look at how we're going to route some of these cables, and we'll be right back. Hey, guys, so I want to stop here for just a second. I want to show you something. So, as expected, this is kind of a cabling bleh. And you guys know, if you've seen any of my my past videos, you know that I'm kind of a cable fiend. I love it when it's cabled beautifully and there's nothing hanging out. That's just kind of the way I do things. This was a little more challenging because there's nowhere to conceal cables. You are literally having to strap things to what looks like the only thing you can conceal to, which is a sort of a semi-hollow rail right here. It's not my favorite design, guys. I'm not going to lie. So far, it hasn't lended itself to being what I would consider my favorite. So, all right, let me go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and continue up, get the cabling as well as I possibly can, and get the video card in, and then we're going to take a look at where these hard drives are going to mount. Okay, so what I want to do, now that I'm looking at this again, let's go ahead and let's mount these hard drives, because we're going to have to figure out where to cable this stuff to and try to find any remote form of way to hide these. So let's go ahead and do that. Now, okay, granted, there is one good side about this. They're metal sides, so nobody's going to see this cabling anyway. But, you know, I've been asked before, you know, why do you cable the way you do on the back of a computer since nobody can see it? Because I know. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I know it's not right. If I know it's not right, it's always going to bug me. So let me go ahead and get these drives mounted, and we're going to see how we can do something with whatever we got here. All right, here we go. Okay, and as you can see with our drives mounted, we can shift these up or down if we need to, but my goal, I think, I want to try to keep them both on one power cable, just to try to make it at least as pretty as we can. Let me look here. It looks like they both have, yeah, let's go with this one. All right, so we're going to go with this connector, and let's strap this one in real quick. We'll bring the secondary up to this one, and then we will back tie this to itself. So that'll at least give us a nice loop there. This one we can bring back down and actually tie to the case, so that might not be quite so bad. Yeah, I think we can probably tolerate that. So, all right, what we're going to do is the PCI Express ones for the video card, we're going to bring back up the same way we did here and bring them out the side here for the video card. But as you can see, it's starting to get a little bit tight in that connector right there where we're running all these cables through. They're going to go through right here, and I'm hoping Stumpy's getting a good shot of that. But we want to go up and under, and that one's pretty tight. Now, the question is, can we get another through there? This is going to be the fight, guys. Here we go. So we're going to push it down, push it in. There it is. Oh, man, we are seriously taxing that. Now, for these final two, we're not actually going to need them. So we have a couple of choices here. Now that we've got these cables through here, the next thing we're going to do is the last two cables here, I'm probably going to run out through this back hole right here, and I'm going to cable tie them and stash them under here, because that ought to be a nice area to at least get them out of the way. As you can see, it's starting to take shape a little bit. Guys, there's nothing easy about this. You have got to go step by step to try to find every ounce of hiding you can do. So, yeah. All right. So now that we've got the drives connected up, as you can see, we've got our power to both of them. Let's go ahead and get our SATA cables on. Hey, guys, so I got to show you this. You know, every now and then, what I say, stay fluid. So it never occurred to me, they mounted these directions, but the goal was to mount them backwards. So for the first time, the back is in the front, and back here is where you access all the actual connections. And it occurred to me that that had to be the case, because if the front had been here, those two cables would have protruded too far beyond the point where the case side would have gone in. Thermaltake, man. All right, so let me go ahead and continue cabling this one up, and we'll be right back. All right, guys, so here's the front. So far, I managed to get everything actually routed through this one hole. It was a little bit tight, but as you can see, it cabled up very nicely down here, and it looks pretty darn sharp. So I'm going to turn my attention to the back of the case, and then we'll get the video card in. Now, I wanted to do the video card last because it takes up so much room in this thing, and I wanted to make sure that we had everything else cabled in before we had to fight with that. So here we go, cable in the back. And one other thing I noticed, guys, is as I'm cabling up the back in here and I'm getting ready to put the video card in, look, Thermaltake is a great company. I have built so many Thermaltake cases before, and I've never really had any major complaints with them. I mean, you know, minor stuff here or there, cabling and whatever. But look, even the back, guys, they use these cheap little breakout connectors in here instead of using real good screw downs. I mean, come on. Is it really that much more expensive for one of these? Oh, well, apparently it is. So you have to like bend these little things out and, you know, potentially cut your fingers. But, and I have cut them many times, but as you can just snap that little sucker out of there. Thermaltake. Once again, guys, this would be like taking a Corvette and putting plastic steering wheel on it. I mean, really, don't spare the expense there. Keep it nice, man. Not bad. All right, so I'm going to go on and get everything mounted. Here we go. Okay, guys, so here's what we've got. Now, I will probably do a little touch-up on this thing as we go along, but I wanted to give you an idea. So I know you remember what this thing looked like before, and I mean, it's a cabling nightmare on this because this case offers you nowhere to conceal and very few tie-down spots, which is actually pretty bad. But as you can see, we've got everything nicely in here. Everything is cabled nice. From the power supply, I will say that these connections are fantastic. They did give you 2 8-pins, which was huge. Everybody knows what a pain that is when you try to put in a video card and don't have enough power. The actual 4-pin for the ATX supply over here was long enough to get all the way up behind and up into here, even though it did do a little cross right here, but not enough to be that bad. Not too bad. With the drives reversed, I was able to use the bottom side under here for a little bit of storage for cabling. And moving around to the back. As you can see, we kept our line going right here. All the way down, our drives are mounted here, and we should be able to get plenty of extra ones. I left a couple extra power cables as well to put other drives in. So overall, turned out pretty good. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put the back on this real quick, and then we will go ahead and fire it up and see what we're working with, because I don't even know what this is or if it works at all. All right, guys, so here we go. The moment of truth. We've got everything in. We got Stumpy angled over here. Let's go ahead and hit the power switch on the back, and let's hit the switch on the front. And I have an LED at the front. That's good. All the fans seem to be spinning. And we've got an Asus BIOS. Let's see what we're working with here, shall we? Oh, check it out, guys. That was unexpected. This is an Intel i7 running at 3.6 gigahertz. It's probably, let's see, we'll go in here and check our advanced settings. This is a 4-core i7. Not bad, not bad. This actually ought to be a pretty decent game or gaming machine. And let's make sure that it is seeing all of our drives. Everything is good. It is indeed. And it's looking good. Yeah, and one thing I was curious about, I wanted to make sure that it did actually see both of our drives, which it does. It actually shows the brand of the RAM, which is kind of cool. 8 gig at 2.6 gigahertz. That's wonderful. Yeah, this is fantastic. This is going to be just fine for a gaming machine, wouldn't you say? All right. All right, guys. So I'm going to save you the wonderful fun of watching me load Windows on this thing, because there's a lot more productive things you could do, like maybe watching grass grow. So yeah, we'll go ahead and drop it here. My final thoughts. Okay, without varnishing this, guys, I am not a fan. I don't like the fact that there's no cable concealment. I definitely think it feels cheap and flimsy, especially for a product from Thermaltake. I mean, these guys they're known for this stuff. It's supposed to be awesome. Overall, once you've got it all in there and everything, it still feels a little light. I mean, obviously the only weight is coming from your components. There is some expandability, but nothing that I don't think I would actually ever use this for a client, because it just feels cheap, and that's kind of it. But power supply, on the other hand, I can recommend that completely. Other than not being modular, it was an 80 bronze. I love the fact that it had enough pins to run the two PCI Express connectors on the video card, which of course, as you guys all know, is becoming more and more common. More powerful cards, more powerful everything, and certainly the power supply. So, all right, guys, if I don't talk to you again, have a fantastic Christmas. I cannot wait to see you on the other side of this. I've got big plans, and who knows what plans I'll have once I see what Santa brought in his sleigh. We shall see. Have a great week and a fantastic Christmas. We will see you soon. Bye, guys.